Am I the asshole for serving my roommate's girlfriend's leftovers at my dinner party without asking? Here's the situation. My roommate, Dave, has been dating this girl, Lisa, for a few months. Lisa is an amazing cook, and whenever she comes over, she whips up these incredible meals.
The thing is, she always makes way too much food, and they leave a ton of leftovers in the fridge.
Now, Dave never eats the leftovers. I'm not exaggerating when I say that every few days, I have to go through the fridge and clean out all the old food Lisa leaves behind because it just sits there until it starts to go bad. A few weeks ago, I decided to throw a small dinner party for some friends. I'm not much of a cook, so I was getting stressed about what to serve. I thought, why not ask Lisa to help out? She's always cooking at our place anyway, and I've always complimented her food.
So, I casually mentioned it to Dave, asking if Lisa might be cool with cooking for my party.
Dave seemed a bit taken aback but said he'd ask her.
The next day, he told me Lisa wasn't comfortable with it because she didn't want to feel like she was being taken advantage of.
I was surprised but told him no problem, I'd figure something else out. The night before the party, Lisa comes over and starts making dinner for her and Dave, as usual. I'm in the kitchen, hanging out with them, and mention that I'm still trying to figure out what to serve at my party the next day. Lisa doesn't say much but continues cooking, and I notice she's making a lot of food, way more than just for her and Dave. After they finish eating, they leave the leftovers in the fridge. Given the history of these leftovers going uneaten and just taking up space until I have to clean them out, I get an idea. The next day, I take out the leftovers, heat them up, and serve them at my dinner party, along with a bean dip I made. My friends loved the food and kept complimenting me on how great it was. I just smiled and thanked them without giving too many details. That night, Dave comes home, orders pizza, and goes to bed without even checking the fridge. 2 days later, after Lisa has already come and cooked another dinner, he notices the leftovers are gone and asks me what happened to them. I tell him I used them for my party. He gets super mad and says I had no right to take the food Lisa made. I argued that it was just leftovers, and since they never eat them, I figured it was better than letting them go to waste. Now, both Dave and Lisa are pretty pissed at me, saying it was a jerk move to steal her cooking for my party. I think they're overreacting because it was just food that was going to end up in the trash otherwise. So, am I the asshole for serving my roommate's girlfriend's leftovers at my dinner party without asking? You are the asshole. You should at least ask if you can use it or offer to pay for the cost of the ingredients to make those food. It doesn't matter if those would end up in the trash. You should had asked for their permission to use it. Now Lisa really is being taken advantage of. Esh. You know what you did, she literally told you she was uncomfortable. Also you lied. Also you stole. Also you held a dinner party without knowing the night before what you were making. What would you have done if she hadn't cooked? They need to take responsibility for their leftovers. You shouldn't be finding them going bad and having to throw out food from a shared refrigerator. As soon as they're depending on you to manage the food buildup, they're muddying the waters. But seriously, you know what you did. Never clean up their crap from the fridge again. You don't eat your roommate's food under any circumstances. If you're at a supermarket and see food that will be thrown out that night, you don't steal it. You would get arrested. Same situation. Your roommate may be a dick but you are the asshole. You are the asshole. You ask before and never assume. Plus I don't get why would you throw a dinner party if you don't know how to cook or willing to buy food instead impose so much on a roommate girlfriend. Your behavior is very annoying here. You are the asshole. Not only was it not your food, and you didn't ask either of them if you could serve the leftovers, but you also don't know what was in the food. What was the plan if someone had an allergic reaction to one of the ingredients? Apologize, move on, and stop trying to argue about why you think you're not the asshole in the comments. It's not about the food, or that it would have gone to waste. Lisa said she wasn't comfortable making food for your party and you went behind her back to get what you wanted. That's a shitty thing to do and you know it. Am I the asshole for telling my fiancé he can't have the kitchen he wants? My parents have given us money for a deposit on a new house. We aren't well off and our rent is creeping higher and higher, so my parents came up with the idea and are basically fronting everything to do with the house, but we will be paying the mortgage.
My fiancé's parents have given him $5K towards the house, and up until this point he felt like he had no say in the bill because he couldn't contribute. But now he's been given the money, he wanted to spend half of it on kitchen appliances.
Fridge, freezer, washing machine and cooker. He is the cook in the relationship.
My parents blew up and said that was ridiculous and that the money would be better spent elsewhere. This was the first time he had shown full excitement about the house, and now I feel like the fire inside him has died.
I don't know what to do. I want him to feel as excited as I do. I should add that he is currently waiting on an autism assessment, so sometimes once he has his mind set on something it's very hard to get him to see a different point of view. Hence why I'm asking you lovely people for some advice.
Edit. Sorry, he wants to spend $2K out of the 5, the other 3 he doesn't care how is spent.
Also, he has never said either of us are being assholes. I can just tell how much this is upsetting him, and it's how I feel. Not the asshole, but your parents sure are.
They gave you a gift with strings attached. They should have no say how the money his parents gave him is spent. Are they always controlling?
I truly hope you told your parents to mind their own business.
$2K for all of those appliances? That is completely reasonable.
This is what appliances cost now. Your parents are out of touch.
What are they expecting you to do, cook over a campfire and wash your clothes in the creek?
Nah, at least not you or your fiancé. People are allowed to want what they want. You simply talk it out.
Your parents have zero say. They're either gifting you the money or they aren't. How dare they blow up at him when it will be his home too?
You are the asshole. This is money his parents gave him. Your parents have no say-so in how either of you spend your money. If you and your fiancé want to spend the money on quality appliances, you do. You need to tell your parents to back off. You are the asshole. Your parents don't have a side.
How someone else spends their own money is not something they get a say in.
Even giving unsolicited advice is in poor taste, let alone blowing up about it.
How you spend their gift is between you and them, since you seem to be okay with their heavy-handed advice. But what your fiancé does with the money from his parents is really none of their business and not something you should be discussing with them, since they cannot seem to stay in their own lane.
There's no need to argue anything with them, as the matter is not even open to them. You are the asshole. $2K on new appliances is a drop in the bucket when it comes to home ownership. Do your parents already dislike him? I would tread very carefully when accepting this gift. They clearly think it means they are entitled to be decision makers in the situation. You are the one who needs a different point of view, not him. Your partner should mean more to you than your parents, and now they are telling him he can't spend money his parents gave to him. I'd look at renting for a few more years and saving to buy a house of your own, because this plan is really just living in your parents' house with extra steps. Am I the asshole for leading my coworker on?
Some background. I, 22 female, work in the front office of a school. I've only been working there for like a month. Genuinely, I would consider some of my coworkers friends, and I thought the guy the first was leading on was my friend, 26 male. So earlier this week my ex, 23 male, came into the school to pick up his niece early. Not surprising, we live in the same area. I was close with his sisters, and when they heard I was going to work here, his sister enrolled her daughter here. Admittedly, when he walked in I made sure I was the one to attend him, and as we were waiting for his niece to come up to the office, we made conversation. I wasn't uncomfortable at all, and I doubt that I looked uncomfortable. As I was talking with my ex, my coworker came up to me and tried to wrap his arm around my waist and pull me into him. That made me uncomfortable, so I stepped away from him, and asked him, nicely might I add, what he was doing.
He pulled me aside and told me that I looked like I was uncomfortable talking to that guy, so he came up to me to try and help me out. I guess he was trying to do that thing where when a woman looks uncomfortable in public, someone will go up to her and pretend to know her to get her out of the situation. I had just told him that I wasn't uncomfortable, and that I was fine because I didn't want to make a big deal out of it. Later during our break, he came up to me to explain a little more. He said he thought it would be fine to touch me like that because we're both interested in each other. I was genuinely confused, and he could tell because he started saying that we've been flirting with each other for weeks. I want to make it clear that I was never flirting. My ex and I broke up in April, and when we broke up, we said that later on maybe we could give our relationship another try.
Since our breakup, I've really only been thinking when that, later on, might be.
I haven't even wanted to flirt with anyone else since our breakup.
I told my coworker that, and he looked upset, and to be honest I don't really blame him.
Yesterday I got some texts from him and another coworker that he's close with, and they basically told me that I was leading him on, that I was an asshole for doing that to him, that I should have told him, that I just don't want to admit that I like him, etc.
Anyways, am I really an asshole?
I genuinely believe that I was never flirting with him. I think I was being nice and I treated him the same way I did everyone else. Please speak with your principal and document everything. Not the asshole. This dude needs to learn that kindness doesn't equal interest.
You don't owe him anything.
And you didn't lead him on. He's just too dense to understand that friendship doesn't mean he's owed a relationship. His behavior was inappropriate, and the continued harassment afterward is too. Definitely talk to HR or your boss about this.
Not the asshole. You should have told him?
You did.
Exactly when you figured out he was interested.
He made a lot of assumptions and that's on him 1000%.
That's pretty textbook workplace sexual harassment on his part and his friends.
Not the asshole. He is a sleazebag and you need to report this to the principal or our. Not the asshole. So many people think that just because you're nice to them, it means that you're flirting. I've been told the same as you.
I've literally only been myself around guys, and I've been nice, engaging in conversation and whatnot, and people have accused me of flirting.
No.
That's not correct.
You've barely been there a month, and he assumes you're so impressed you want to be in a relationship with him? Talk about delusional.
Those two need a reality check in the form of an HR talk.
Take this into your professional future. Physical contact in a professional environment is never okay, a handshake being the only exception. Am I the asshole for making my son, 16, pay for his own room? I'm a single mom of 5, 16M, 14M, 10M, 9F, 7M, renting a 3-bedroom house. Up until 2 months ago the 2 eldest boys shared a room, the 3 youngest shared, and I had the smallest room. For the last few years my eldest complained non-stop about having to share a room with his little brother. Most of his friends' parents are wealthy, so he's constantly comparing our situation to theirs.
He started working when he was 14, a few hours a week, for a little extra money. Now at 16 he works a lot, more than I would like, and this summer he has been working basically full-time. He's not too bad with his money and actually saves some of it, but the rest goes to video games, clothes, shoes, and junk food.
2 months ago, my son and I were discussing his distaste for sharing a room with his brother, and he said he'd drop out of school now if it meant he could move out into his own space. I told him I had looked at 4-bedroom rentals in our area, but they were just too expensive. He asked if he could pay the difference if we did move. I told him no, because during the school year all his money would be going to rent, not his savings and his spending money.
That obviously wouldn't sit right with me.
However, we did come up with a compromise. For $50 a month he could have my bedroom and my 10-year-old could move in with 14-year-old and I would sleep in our living room. Our couch is already a pull-out. This was 2 months ago, and we already made the switch, and everybody is happy with the new setup. All the money my son is paying me is going straight into my Christmas savings, and then after Christmas will go into a summer trip savings. I recently told some of my friends what I was doing and they're against it.
They think I'm wrong for taking any amount of money from my kids, and a couple of them said I should have just given him the room without making him pay for it. They make some good points, and I don't totally disagree, and it makes me feel like an asshole. My 14-year-old son is also unhappy about the arrangement. He thinks it's unfair older brother is getting his own room and that middle brother should have stayed in his old room.
I can see how he feels it's unfair that older brother has the chance to pay for his own room when he, or the other kids, don't have the same opportunity.
It seems bad to renege with my oldest now, but I'm not sure if I made a mistake agreeing to this.
Am I the asshole?
There is a wild difference between charging your underage kids rent and accepting $50 a month, that is going back to the kids, so a growing teenager can have privacy. No other children are getting less, and no one is abused by any means. Not exactly an ideal solution, but tricky problems require unconventional solutions.
Not the asshole. I recently told some of my friends what I was doing and they're against it.
They think I'm wrong for taking any amount of money from my kids, and a couple of them said I should have just given him the room without making him pay for it. They make some good points, and I don't totally disagree, and it makes me feel like an asshole.
Do your friends pay your bills?
I think not, so they don't have a say in your home. Also, just don't overshare your personal life like that. Your situation is not optimal, but you guys are managing. Not everyone has to compromise like a single mother of 5.
Not the asshole. You are the asshole.
But not for the reason you're asking, it is about your daughter. Why is she not the priority when it comes to having a separate bedroom or at least sharing with you? At 9, she is at an age where it may seem like she is okay sharing a room with her brothers, but she probably isn't.
Girls are starting puberty and becoming self-conscious of their bodies at that age. They shouldn't have to worry about sharing a bedroom with their brothers.
Where is her privacy?
What is your solution when in 6 months or a year, when she, rightfully so, starts demanding her own space and privacy?
There is no reason the oldest needs his own room in this case.
And I would say the same thing if the genders were reversed. Maybe think about switching the room situation around to accommodate everyone. You are the asshole on the grounds you had too many children and can't afford to pay for them. I grew up like this 2-bedroom house with 5 siblings. Everyone said, "Oh, it brings you together." No, it doesn't.
I'm close to 1 brother.
The other 4 and my mom I haven't seen or spoke to in 7 years. I realized I was the one making the effort. So I just said I'm gonna stop until they call. They call around Xmas and say a date. I just tell them I can't make it. I never stepped back into my mom's house once I left. I said I wouldn't. We were so poor it was awful. I saved and went to school. I'm now pretty wealthy and they all think I'm an asshole because I won't be their ATM. Mom and brothers. So I just cut everyone off. I've never been happier.
You are the asshole, but not because you charge your eldest son, but because you set a precedent in your house that you won't be able to follow through. What will you do when your next kid comes to you and says, "Here's $50 a month, where is my room?"
It will be a mess. You are the asshole for having more kids than you can afford and charging your kid to live in a house that you the parent should be paying for.